Greetings. It is the final week of the Confidence Picks. Always a bittersweet moment around here every single year. I'm Steve Deace. He's Aaron McIntyre, because it means the most wonderful time of the year is nearing its end. It goes by so fast every single year. Aaron McIntyre, how are you?
Doing all right. And we'll do a reconciliation show. Maybe we'll just roll that into Bigger Ten next week. I don't know. We'll do a reconciliation show next week, and unless we end up tied, and then we'll have to figure out like bowl games or something like that. Unless we're tied, then yeah, this will be the final week of picks for Confidence Picks. And boy, howdy, you want to get into it? These are the results from last week. You hit on your 7-3 matchups. So Ohio State at 7, Michigan at 6, Penn State at 5, Northwestern at 4, Wisconsin at 3, missed on Illinois, missed on Indiana. But you did hit your bonus of Illinois plus 3.5 over Iowa. I was perfect last week on my confidence picks. I missed on my bonus pick of Penn State Rutgers over 41. The total ended up being 33. You want to see the difference in margin right now, Steve, going into the final week? You lead with 456 points to my 455.
Wow. That is nuts. All the picks, all the games, and it comes down.
We are in week 13, and you've got a 1-point lead.
To 1 point with all that variance. That is insane. That's absolutely insane.
Yeah.
All right.
Better not screw up.
Better not. All right, let's finish the race. Here we go. My picks for this week. I'm going to go Penn State over Michigan State for my 7-point game. I think this is technically a home game for Sparty, but it's at Ford Field. I don't know how many Michigan State fans want to go with the season they're having. I think there'll be a crap ton of Penn State fans there. I think it'll feel like a Penn State home game.
I forgot this was in Detroit.
Yep. So I'm going to take the Nittany Lions as my 7-pointer. I'm going to take Illinois as my 6-pointer over Northwestern. Northwestern got to bowl eligibility. It is now Illinois' turn to do it against their chief rival this week. My 5-point game, I'm going to go out on a limb here. And two things I love as trends. Go against the team whose fans stormed the field the week prior because of how emotional that experience was winning that game. And then go with the team that's unranked and favored at home over the ranked team. Well, it just goes to show you two of my all-time favorite trends are both Nebraska in one game this week. All right, Iowa fans, everybody losing their minds. Brian Ferentz, Gatorade's bath, most celebrated fired offensive coordinator of all time. Won the Big Ten West. Well, Nebraska needs this to get off the bowl game schneid. They're favored. They're going against the team that celebrated heavily. I'm taking the Huskers and going 5 points. I'm going big. Otherwise, I'm going home. Okay? My 4-point game, I'm going to take Minnesota, who has performed well. PJ has performed well in this rivalry, and they need it for bowl eligibility. Maybe. We mentioned earlier they have the APR advantage as well. But I'm going to take Minnesota to pull a mild upset at home. I'm going to take Rutgers to pull a mild upset at home. I think Maryland left it all on the field against Michigan last week. Very physical game. I think they come in kind of beaten up a little bit, and I think Rutgers gets the win to close out the year and gets to 7 wins for Greg Schiano. My 2-point game. I don't know what to do with the game here. I mean, I really don't. I'm going to take Ohio State for 2 reasons. Number 1, total emotional hedge, and it worked for me last year. Number 2, I just can't see Michigan winning the game without a coach. I just can't. That has to count for something. So why isn't this only my 2-point game? Because on the field, I think there's 2, maybe 3 critical matchups that are clearly in Michigan's favor. I think Michigan's defensive line against Ohio State's offensive line is clearly in Michigan's favor. I think the which quarterback is most likely to make the play that is needed against the other team's defense, J.J. McCarthy or Kyle McCord, is clearly in Michigan's favor. And I think the running game, I think Michigan's ability to run the football with a healthy Blake Corum and a healthy Donovan Edwards, these guys weren't even healthy last year. People forget Donovan Edwards had one hand and had a fibia injury and still ran for 200 yards. I think those things are clearly in Michigan's favor. But the talent level here is so high that clearly in your favor means like a 2 or 3 point edge. Okay. This isn't like Michigan versus Indiana here. We're clearly in your favor means a 2 or 3 touchdown edge. So the margin for error, man, when the air is this thin is slimmer. And I have to believe not having a coach counts for something. But I'm hedging here because I think the personnel advantage is to Michigan, so I'm only putting 2 on it. In my 1-point game, I have no idea how to predict the Old Oaken Bucket game. I guess I'll go with Purdue at home against Indiana, but you can see I'm so confident I'm putting 1 point on it. My bonus pick, going back to what I just said a minute ago, fade the team whose fans stormed the field. Now, it was Northwestern, man, so there weren't that many fans there. But they absolutely stormed the field there at Ryan Field when Northwestern got to the 6th win. Illinois comes in. This is a must-win scenario for them. Their rival is feeling, coach got hired, Braun got the job, as we just said. We're going bowling. All that stuff is great. The situational edge here is heavily to Illinois. By the way, here is something that people are forgetting too. Last week, Purdue ran for over 300 yards on Northwestern. Do you know how often you win a game anywhere, but especially in this league?
Yeah, not very.
When you give up 300 yards, not much. How did they do it? Northwestern was +3 in turnovers. You don't think Brett Bielema knows? Don't think Brett Bielema's like, y'all gave up 300 yards rushing? Let's roll. I'm taking Illinois as my bonus pick, and since I get it for less than a touchdown, I'm laying the 5, and Illinois to win, something like 31-17, 31-20, and get that 6th win.
Man, I had the most trouble this week picking games.
Isn't that the way it's supposed to be, though?
Yeah.
It's rivalry week. Shouldn't it be this way?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think the most obvious one is Penn State over Michigan State. Really don't know what the motivation is for Michigan State at this point. Don't know what it is for Penn State necessarily. I guess staying in a decently good bowl game and continue to try to build and keep your locker room content. I guess that's maybe your motivation if you're a coach. But I think that one shouldn't be very much trouble. I've got Rutgers over Maryland in my 6th slot. Maryland's been bowl eligible. Rutgers has been as well. I think Greg Schiano really wants to continue to build some momentum going into the offseason, going into the bowl season. So I think he's going to have his guys fired up and ready to play. But again, this is a coin flip game. I think Maryland is a 1-point favorite. Number 5, I've got Illinois over Northwestern just because of the line. The line really stood out to me as weird. Although, as you laid out in your handicap there just a bit ago, it does kind of make a little bit more sense in that light. But I got Illinois over Northwestern in my 5 slot. I'm going at number 4, Michigan over Ohio State. Although I said on Bigger 10 yesterday, I don't have a great beat on this game. I'm just going with Michigan over Ohio State. If nothing else other than what I said yesterday, if you want to be the man, you got to beat the man. Until I see Ohio State beat Michigan again, all things being equal, I'm just going to keep picking Michigan. So I've got them at the 4 slot. Number 3, I've got Minnesota over Wisconsin. Wisconsin's a field goal favorite. Minnesota, though, I think the Pentecostal youth minister will have them daydreaming about Detroit in the middle of December or whenever the Quick Lane Bowl is. I do think he'll be able to find a motivational edge. Wisconsin, beat Nebraska, big whoop. It is a rivalry game. It's a pretty storied rivalry, at least it was for a time. But I think Minnesota will be able to come through, and I think it's in Wisconsin and Madison. Number 2, I've got Purdue over Indiana. This one's a coin flip. I just decided Purdue, just because I really don't have any other handicap than that. Tom Allen may be coaching for his job. I don't know how to analyze that game. And then number 1, Nebraska over Iowa. I really should not be picking against the Hawkeyes. I should not. So this is just an emotional hedge for me, if nothing else. Nebraska over Iowa. And then I have a feeling that maybe this bonus pick will determine who wins confidence picks this year. I'm doing Iowa-Nebraska over 27.5. That was the opening line. It's come down to 26.5. I just think there are going to be enough turnovers. I've been saying this over and over and over again. Enough turnovers.
Yeah.
Enough short fields That has to happen at some point. They have to hit the over at some point. Brock Purdy's little brother, Chuba, is it Chuba Purdy?
Chuba.
He's starting. He's getting the start for Nebraska. I just have to think one of these games has to go over that Iowa plays in. So I'm going Iowa, Nebraska, over 27.5 points.
So by my math, we are separated by 1 point. There's 18 points of variance in our picks before we even consider the bonus selection.
I want this
18.
I want this to end in a tie. I know how little regard for soccer you have. So to have this end in a draw, that's a reward enough for me.
Do you know how mathematically insane that would be to end in a tie with all that variance, with all the confidence picks and the point spreads and everything else? That'd be crazy if that happened.
Yeah. Astronomical is an understatement.
But we're 1 point away from that right now.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting for sure. I hope you guys have an uninteresting but enjoyable Thanksgiving holiday. Enjoy the rivalry week games as well. We're back next week right here on Bigger Ten. We'll see you then.